Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome. It's Chris from MarketWurks, and we're here with another video tutorial. This one's on some of our newer features that we've just released in MarketWurks version 2.0. It's very exciting. This is actually quite a phenomenal feature. Again, this is one of the ones that was requested from our family members over the last 2 to 3 years numerous times. So we did a really good job when we built this one out, and hats off to our engineers for doing a fantastic job with it. This is located, you just go in here, click on the navigation bar on the left-hand side. That's going to take you to attendance. You'll notice here that you can choose which market that you want to track the attendance on. In case you have a number of them going, you can see here we have an early season, a holiday Saturday, a Sunday, and a Wednesday afternoon market. In this case, we want to track the attendance and report on it in the holiday Saturday market. I picked the date of the market that I want to do, in this case, the first one of the year, so that was the 30th of June. We can also filter just by the vendors that are programmed onto this market by their category as well. Now, just to show you what it looks like, if we take on-site hot food vendor, you're going to see that they're not actually that were programmed there. So we'll just pop this back up to all of them. And then we can also filter just by showing the ones that are present, no show, later, excuse. This is really more for when you're exporting things out. So really what you want to concentrate on is which market it is that you want to do the reporting on for the attendance, the date of that market, and then go ahead and do that reporting. Now, you'll see as we go along here, down the left-hand side, we've got the stall number that the vendor was in, so folks have asked for that, the name of the vendor, their contact, their category, and then their attendance. Now, if you click on category here, you can see that you can actually get it sorted just by categories in alphabetical order, which is all sorts of fun, or you could get it sorted by names or contact person. It really depends on how you want to do it. Perhaps if you are doing this while you're walking up and down the aisles of your market, you want to do it in order of the booth numbers. So that's your option right here. So what are your options for actually recording their attendance? We give you the option of saying whether they're present, no show, late, or excused. We also allow you to go in and you can place a note inside of the vendor's internal notes. Now, this is something that shows up on their vendor's profile, but it's only visible to you as a market administrator or anybody else has access to your market administration. This cannot and will not show up in public. So it's a good place to put notes about why somebody maybe wasn't at a market or any other communications that are going on between yourself and that vendor. If we had just put in a note here, we could add that note. We can see that I'm a terrible typist still. And we'll just say that that was very nice. We can add that note and you can see that that's been saved successfully. Let's pop through and actually do some recording on the vendor attendance for this. Artful was there, they were there, MetalWorks was there, Howley didn't show up, Lemon Square was late, Reminded Designs was excused, and Manishi was present because he always is. The really cool thing about this is when we go in and we save these changes, it's one thing, okay, we can pop this in and we can save the changes, but what can you do with this information? Well, we give you the opportunity to be able to export this information as well. So you could go and just sort of print off this list here if you filed printed right from your browser, but if you want to go in and you can view these in different ways as well now. So if we just take a look at the farm produce, you're going to see that there were none there because there were no farmers there. But we can also go in and export them specifically by dates. So this is going to give you the capacity to be able to export a specific date of a market and the attendance for that. You could do a wholesale export of all of the dates of your markets and all of your vendors and end up with a massive spreadsheet, or you can go in like we have here, go into our holiday Saturday market, say we want to export from the 30th of June. We want to export all of the vendors who attended. We want to export all of the categories, and we want to export all of their tags. Now, our tags here haven't been selected, but we could select those and just bring those into there as well. Now, one of the things that you want to be aware of is that this will default to exporting the internal notes. Now, internal notes, as we showed you, is a continual text thing. So it could be quite a big box, so to speak, for you to have exported into a spreadsheet. So we give you the option of unchecking that so that you can just go ahead and export the information that it is that you want. Just for fun, we'll go ahead here and we'll export what we've selected. That's going to drop down into our downloads here. And now we're going to open it up and it should pop out into a nice little numbers document. And you can see here that for the 30th of June, 2018, in these stalls of vendors who were assigned to stalls, These are the vendors that I reported on. So Artful, Manishi, Reminded, Lemon Square, Howley, their contact, their categories, and then their attendance, whether they were there or not. So this will only export vendors that you've actually reported on. If you had 80 vendors in here and you only reported on 70 of them, it would only export 70 of them. That's kind of one of the nice ways that we filter it so you don't just end up with a bunch of empty space in there. This is a very, very handy tool. We've had a lot of folks asking for it. And of course, one of the other questions we get is, well, what stall were they in? So that shows up down here. So once again, if you're inside of the export, the vendor attendance, you could go in. We could also add, if we wanted to select all of the early season Sundays that we did, and we could continue to export all of those, drop that into our little downloads file, and you can see that it's a much larger table that's going to show up. So this shows up, again, all of the stalls that the vendor was in on that specific date, and then whether they were there or not. Here's the criteria for this to work. First thing is that the vendors must be assigned to a stall. You can't mark them present or not if they weren't actually assigned to something. Being active for the date isn't enough. You can then decide if you want to mark them present, no show, late, or excused, or you can put a note into their internal notes section on their profile, which shows up on their vendor's profile. Again, those internal notes cannot be made public and they will not show up to anybody but you as the market administrator. And if you want to just view these in a list form, if you're going up and just want to go in and check on something randomly, you don't necessarily want to export it, you can just go and check in on something, say on holidays, Saturday, on the 30th of June, health and wellness products, Mountain Natural Soaps was not reported on, so we could actually just show them as excused there and save those changes. And you can go back and look at whatever it was that you've already put in there. If we took this and popped it back to all in the early season, these are all of the vendors that were assigned to a stall, and these are the ones that we actually reported on. Really, really cool feature here. I've got to say that the engineers did an incredible job with this. They've definitely exceeded our expectations. Tip of the hat to the entire development team. Agatai, you did an amazing job at managing this project for us. Thanks very much. That has been your attendance feature tutorial for MarketWurks version 2.0. We'll see you soon with another feature.